Okay, there he goes.
Thank you. I'm audible. Thank you, Madam Chair. And to the law enforcement officer who is there, I would have you know, I have great respect for law enforcement.
Thank you.
My uncle was a deputy sheriff, and I believe that I'm in Congress probably because of him. He told me when I was a very young child that I was going to be a lawyer. And because he was so well respected, from that moment forward, I wanted to be a lawyer. I never had any thought of being anything else. By the way, I didn't know what a lawyer was at the time, but my uncle said it and it meant something. So I have great respect.
Thank you.
This problem at the border is something that we've been grappling with for some time. It seems to me that any solution is going to require doing something about the conditions that would cause a mother, knowing what can happen to her child along this route, cause that mother to say, I'm going to risk sending my child north because the conditions here are such that I don't believe my child is safe. So it seems to me that we have to focus on doing something about those conditions. I believe that the law enforcement officers, I don't doubt you when you say you're overwhelmed. But what you're doing is at the border, and we have to do something beyond the border. We now have sent billions to Ukraine, and I voted to do it, and I'll send more. I want to send planes. I want to do whatever we can do to help them. It seems to me that we can do something more for our neighbors. And I think it's going to take the will of Congress to get it done. But that has to be a part of the solution. Now, I've had a personal experience with this. I had a constituent, Mr. Escobar, who was deported. He was married to an American woman. He had 2 children born in the United States of America, no criminal history, and he was deported. I went to El Salvador 3 times. I brought him home on the 3rd time. 3 times. He could not walk the streets. When he was deported, he became sort of a target, if you will. So we brought him home. He was within the law, nothing outside of the law. But it's really sad to know the conditions that persons are living under, such that they would send their children over this long distance. And the staff has provided me some intelligence that I'd just like to share with everyone. I'm sure that everyone has perused the documentation that we have. It reads, families and other asylum seekers expelled back to Mexico are often targeted by drug cartels and face violence and extortion. In fact, human rights organizations have documented nearly 10,000 instances of people being kidnapped, tortured, sexually assaulted, and murdered after being expelled under Title 42. Title 42 is the law of the land. I'm not debating whether that should not happen under the law of the land, just stating the facts. Conditions in Mexico have led to hundreds of parents fearing for the lives of their children to choose to self-separate, send their children across the border alone, knowing that unaccompanied children would be accepted and cared for by the Department of Health and Human Services. It's a tragedy. So, Sheriff, I'm appealing to you. I just want to know, do you know enough about it? If you don't, I'll understand. To give a comment about the conditions that are causing a mother to send her baby on this dangerous journey, knowing what the consequences might be, but she'd rather face that than have her child stay with her and suffer. Your thoughts, Sheriff, please.
Member Green, I appreciate those comments. And one of my objectives as a sheriff and with my sheriff association is humanitarian. We have big hearts here as we wear the badge, and we respect. I've talked to my sheriffs in Del Rio, Sheriff Martinez, Sheriff Wilmot over in Yuma, Arizona. They see what you're talking about. That's what those examples. In my section of the southeast corner of the state of Arizona, we don't see that. We see 100% aggravated individuals that are camouflaged, that are coming to the country for all ill intent. They're taking advantage of current times. That's what bothers me. That's why I'm testifying today on the public safety side of this and the humanitarian side. We also see the death. We also see those that die in the process of coming across our border because we've lost the management side of it on the public safety side. And that's where I come from. There's got to be a balance. Member Green, I agree with you. There's got to be a balance. We need to take the politics out of this. We need to take the re-election thoughts out of it. Let's get to the business and secure our country, secure our border, and make this humanitarian and public safety and national security.
Mr.
Thank you, Madam
Sheriff,
Chair.
thank you. The gentleman's time has expired. I will now yield to the gentleman